I kind of feel like I have to keep these beginning bits going because they've sort of become a thing, but I don't really have anything to say today. Lego. Hello again everyone, I am SheNoob and welcome to my review of RWBY Volume 3 Chapter 4 Lessons Learned. Welcome to the new channel by the way, I hope you're not too upset by the change. If you didn't catch the reason for the change, I'll link to the video where I explained everything here. I hope you like the artwork as well. It was drawn by my good friend Immortal Rich, or Richard, with whom I will be recording some videos in the new year as well when he relaunches his channel. But now for the review. The episode kicks off straight into the action with the anticipated fight between Emerald and Mercury and Coco and Yatsuhashi. They share a little bit of banter and Emerald's as cocky as ever. The first thing that I noticed about this fight is that they actually put 4 different environments in the arena for this round instead of 2. I guess it keeps it a bit more interesting. Second thing I noticed was that I'm not really that fond of Yatsuhashi's voice actor.
I can't promise you'll leave without a scratch.
He sounds a little bit, what's the word, punsy for the character? I'm not actually sure who that is, so I'm sorry if I just offended him. Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't really blend well for me, but I guess I'll get used to it. The thing I was wondering most though about Team Coffee is why on earth would they put Coco and Yatsuhashi together for the doubles round? The 2 tanks of the team. So essentially they have Coco, whose only weapon is a handbag that has like a massive Gatling gun in it. And then Yatsuhashi, who has a massive sword that can apparently cause something similar to an earthquake. They don't have Fox or Velvet. Now I get that Fox and Velvet are Faunus. I think Fox is a Faunus, I'm not actually sure. And both of them are their most agile team members. The fact that they didn't put Fox through instead of Yatsuhashi boggles my mind. Maybe the show creators were just trying to set them up for failure, and they failed big time. Not a very good move on Team Coffee's part. Also, how did Emerald and Mercury get out of that grass so quickly? They walk backwards into it as soon as the fight starts, and then Coco unleashes fire of her Gatling gun, and suddenly they're not there. Doesn't make much sense, but whatever. The song that was playing during this fight was awesome. You guys know how much I'm loving the soundtrack. I think I might actually like this song more than I like Caffeine. One thing that's made obvious during this fight is that Coco's weapon is completely impractical for close quarters combat. It's also completely impractical for using against actual people. Against the Grimm, it annihilates, but using it on a person who's able to jump out of the way is not so effective. Sure, she can fold it up and it's a heavy handbag and she just whacks people with it, but apart from that, it's really just like a turret. Mercury's weapon, however, my god, he is a badass. We haven't seen Mercury properly fight until now. We saw him have his little bout with Pyrrha, but now we got to see him actually unleash his potential. That breakdance move he did looked awesome. Emerald and Mercury made Coco and Yatsuhashi, and all of Team Coffee for that matter, look completely unskilled in this fight. In a stark contrast to the finale of last volume when Team Coffee came in and kicked ass. I'm just putting it down to Coco and Yatsuhashi not being a good pairing for the doubles round. I really think it should have been Yatsuhashi and Fox. I was also kind of hoping that Yatsuhashi would be one of the strong silent types and just not have a voice actor. Or if he did, just not speak very much. Ah well. That part where Coco got slammed against the tree and her glasses broke actually reminded me of Dead or Alive. In the old Dead or Alive games, whenever a character you were fighting was wearing sunglasses or a hat and you knocked them off, the character starts going ape on you and it's almost impossible to defeat them, on the harder difficulties anyway. It just reminded me of that. Also, I'm gathering that everyone's thinking that Team M were cheating, judging by the Yatsuhashi illusion that appeared in the forest in this fight. It would seem that Neo was in there, but I'm not sure how that could be possible. I mean, we've seen just a fraction of what Neo's semblance can do. It's possible that she could be capable of invisibility. We know she's capable of illusions, and we think she may be capable of shapeshifting. Anything is really possible. I agree though, it does seem like Neo was there. I mean, Emerald couldn't have done that illusion. Or could she? But I'm also just wondering how they got Neo onto the battleground without anybody noticing. I knew that this was going to be brutal for Team Coffee when I saw that they were going to be up against Emerald and Mercury. I knew that they were going to lose. The story kind of demanded it. But still, to see Coco's hands shaking like that and have them both knocked out so viciously, it was a really brutal end for Team Coffee. And then that shot after the fight of Fox comforting Velvet and Ruby sitting next to her and Cinder's right behind them. I was sitting there going, Ruby, she's right there. She's right behind you. Why can't you see her? It annoyed me so much last volume that Ruby didn't automatically connect Cinder to the woman that she fought way at the beginning of volume 1. So annoying. How many other women that have lighting up clothing and fire dust capabilities like that can there possibly be? And the fact that she doesn't recognize her out of that mask that she was wearing is ridiculously stupid. She should be able to tell just by her hair that it's the same person, and her eye colour. But whatever, plot holes. After the fight, we move on to an exchange between Weiss and his sister Winter. They're sat in some sort of courtyard with nice fountains and a plate of croissants on the table. When I said croissants just now, it reminded me of that vine of that dude with the croissant. I could have dropped my croissant.
Stop! I could have dropped my croissant!
Cracks me up. Winter briefly talks to Weiss about the train incident at the end of last volume, and then she really changes her tone with Weiss and tells her she should be proud of herself and she's doing well on her own. In contrast to how we've seen Winter so far, she appeared really sisterly, especially when she was talking about their father, and how she loved seeing his face when Weiss marched off to go to Beacon. It was nice to see Winter in a lighter tone and to see that she actually does care. Winter asks Weiss what she's learned while at Beacon, and it's discovered that Weiss is struggling with her summoning. Then Winter makes the note that every Shnee for a long time has been able to summon, which explains the Nevermore thing we saw in the last episode. And we discovered through this that the Shnee semblance is in fact hereditary, confirming my suspicions in the last review. And it would seem that the summoning power is that they can summon white versions of Grimm and other creatures that they've fought. So far we've seen Winter summon small Nevermores and a greater Beowulf. So I wonder what else Winter has the ability to summon. She's clearly very proficient in her summoning, whereas Weiss is really struggling to even get it going. Then we move on to Crow, Ruby and Yang, playing some sort of Mortal Kombat inspired video game. It's apparent that Crow has a bit of a problem with being called an old man.
And by the way, don't ever call me old.
Sorry old man, but you're kind of an old man. Then he tells the story of his last mission and how he went to that inn and he said he was defeated by the length of the innkeeper's skirt. I really like Crow's sense of humour. It's crude and I love it. Yang's reaction was so funny.
You are the worst!
Then Crow makes a few points about the girl's efforts last volume in stopping the White Fang and apprehending Roman Torchwick, who by the way remains constantly absent in this volume. Ruby's comment about silver medals made me laugh. She always has the funniest little quips. He says how White Fang activity has actually ceased completely since Roman got locked up. He makes the point that they may have nabbed the head honcho of an organisation, but now the second head is calling the shots. But what he actually doesn't know is that Cinder's been the first head all along. It would seem to me that part of Cinder's plan actually involved Roman Torchwick getting caught. Does anyone else feel like that might have been deliberate on her part? I don't know, it just seems like it might have been her plan to make it look like Roman was the one calling the shots, but really she's the mastermind all along. So that once he gets locked up, she can then change her plans to be a bit more discreet. Make the enemy think they've won when they really haven't. Then Crow pulls out the famed photo of Team Stark. The same photo that we see in the intro for this volume. That features from the left, Summer Rose, Tai Yang Xiaolong, Raven Branwen and Crow Branwen. And Yang's reaction to seeing Raven. She quite clearly recognizes her, but I'm still wondering what it was that Raven told her at the very end of last volume after the credits. And I'm still wondering if she knows if it was real or if she thinks it was a dream, or if it even was a dream. So many questions still unanswered about Raven. Also, I want to make a quick note that it's been established that Raven and Crow are siblings, which is proven by the fact that Crow is Yang and Ruby's uncle. We automatically assume that he's Tai Yang's brother, but he shares the last name as Raven, so it's obvious now that they're related. And he is actually Yang's uncle, technically, as Raven is her mother. But it was pointed out to me by a viewer that if Crow and Raven are siblings, and they were on the same team in the same year at Beacon, that would mean they'd have to be twins, surely. Unless they were in a similar situation as Yang and RWBY are now, where RWBY got moved ahead 2 years. But somehow I don't think so. Maybe they are twins. That would be interesting if they were. Then as Crow leaves the room, he tells Yang and RWBY that they're gonna go far as huntresses as long as they keep learning and never stop moving forward. They keep throwing things in this show to remind me of Monty and making my feels hurt all the time. But it is good in a way that we're reminded of him as we're watching the show. We don't ever want his memory to fade, and we need to always remember that this is his baby. Without Monty, we wouldn't have RWBY. And I think everyone working on the show is doing their best to remember and to honour that, just by putting these small things in. Then after that, we move back to Weiss and Winter. Winter is attempting to coach Weiss on her summoning, and Weiss is really struggling. She even says that she can't. When have we ever heard Weiss say she can't do something? It seems that the thing she's struggling with most is self-doubt. I'm wondering if it has something to do with that night that she fought in her trailer. We know that that was in the past because she has the scar that she obtained in that fight, or seemingly obtained in that fight. Nobody's really sure because the animation was a little iffy with the scar appearing and disappearing at different moments during the trailer. I'm not sure if that's the event that shook her confidence. I think it might be more a culmination of her entire childhood. The way she grew up and the difficulties with her father and the company. Winter making the remark about their father giving her a job as a receptionist made me laugh. For those of you who don't know, Cara Eberly, who does the voice of Weiss, is actually the receptionist at Rooster Teeth. So there you go, you get the joke now. Also, I completely called it about the money thing. When Weiss went to pay for lunch in the very first episode and her card didn't work, it was directly after she got a phone call from her father that she ignored. And since then I was wondering if her father cut her off from the funds to make her talk to him. And lo and behold, I was right. That's exactly what Winter says. Weiss really seems to have a problem with her dad. I wonder if they'll ever make amends. Winter then gives Weiss some friendly advice. She tells her that she can either call their father and beg for his money back, or she can try and make it on her own. She then gives Weiss a loving hug. It's nice to see a little bit of affection between them, as we didn't really see that last episode. It seems like affection might be a rare thing in the SheNoob family, but it's nice to see that they do actually have a good relationship as sisters. It's just that Winter's very similar to Weiss in that they both have this facade that they feel like they need to maintain because of their name. A reputation to uphold. Then it's time for Winter to go and the two of them leave the courtyard, and as they do, Mirror Mirror Part 2 starts playing. Oh my goodness! I have been waiting so long for a Mirror Mirror Part 2 since there was a Red Like Roses Part 2. And this version is gorgeous too, just from what we've heard of it so far. I really hope there's going to be a proper full version on the soundtrack. Mirror Mirror is one of my favourite songs from RWBY. Then the camera pans back down towards that cute little caterpillar, and next to him is a small version of the sword that was wielded by the knight Weiss fought in the white trailer. So apparently she can summon after all, but she was only able to do just this small thing because her emotions drove her to. She has a long way to go before she gets to Winter's level. As Weiss is waving goodbye to her sister's ship, she gets yet another call from her father that she then again ignores. It would seem that Weiss is going to take her sister's advice and try and make it on her own in the world without her father's help. This is probably the best thing for Weiss to do, especially if her relationship is that damaged with her father. She needs to prove to him that this was the right move for her, and she needs to prove that she can do it on her own. It looks like we've seen the last of Winter SheNoob for now, and she's probably not going to be back this volume, just judging by RWBY's track record of introducing characters and having them disappear for lengths of time. I did end up liking Winter at the end of this episode. She's very similar to Weiss. The lyrics of Mirror Mirror Part 2 struck a chord with me. The line especially, "I know that I could do so much if I could just believe in me." Don't we all feel like that sometimes? Weiss's struggle certainly does come from within, and hopefully we get to see a little more of her conquering that over the episodes. I want Mirror Mirror Part 2. I want all of the soundtrack as soon as possible. It is killing me waiting so long. Jeff is really outdoing himself this year. There's been a new song just about every episode. There was 2 in this one. This year's soundtrack is gonna be huge. I feel like a lot of it is owed to the fact that they had a later release for this volume, so Jeff has had a bit more time to write new songs this year than he normally would. I don't think we'll see this caliber of soundtrack again. I'm really excited for it. And this has been my review for RWBY Volume 3 Chapter 4. Once again, I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you like the new outro too, and once again, Richard helped me with this. Also, something I want to explain about the Facebook, Twitter and Twitch buttons to my right here. I don't have a website, so I can't post external links as annotations on YouTube videos. What there will be is a big annotation over all 3 of those buttons that will say links in the description. The links to my Facebook, Twitter and Twitch are all in the description of every video I upload. But of course, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment telling me about all of your views on this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!